I still remember standing there, on the cracked driveway, staring at the empty space where my car used to be. The wind was soft that morning, but inside me, everything was shaking. My chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped out something important. It wasn't just a car. It was my car. The only thing in this world I had bought with my own hands. 5 years of saving, of working extra hours, of skipping coffee with friends. And now it was gone. I didn't even hear it leave. No sound. No warning. Just silence. My fingers trembled as I checked my phone. 2 missed calls. 1 message. Sold the car. Needed cash. You'll thank me later. It was from Adil. My older brother. The one who always did what he wanted. The one everyone said I should forgive, because he's family. He sold my car like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't tell our mother. She would only say, "He's your brother. Let it go." So I sat on the edge of the cold curb, hands in my lap, phone face down beside me, and I thought about the dealership. The one I'd been negotiating to buy in secret. The one he didn't know about. He thought he'd taken something from me. But what he didn't know was that the car he sold was sitting in a dealership I now owned. And soon he would walk into it, looking for help. But this time, I wouldn't be the quiet sister anymore. I was always the quiet one. In our house, silence wasn't peace. It was survival. My father passed away when I was 15. Heart attack. Quick and cruel. He was the only one who ever really saw me. After that, things changed. My brother Adil was 20 then. He stepped in like he owned the world. Mama said, "He's the man now." But it felt more like we'd lost 2 fathers that day. One to death. One to pride. Adil didn't take care of us. He took control of everything. The bank account. The car keys. Even the way Mama looked at me changed. She stopped asking what I wanted. Started asking what Adil needed. I was the invisible daughter. Not rebellious like Hina. Not important like Adil. Just there. But I watched. And I listened. When Adil wasted money on get-rich-quick ideas, I kept track. When he blamed me for the lights being left on, I stayed quiet. When he told Mama I should drop out of college to help at home, I said nothing. But I didn't quit. I worked small jobs after class. Sold handmade cards. Tutored kids. Saved every rupee I could. I studied business in college. Not because anyone believed in me, but because I believed in something. Even if I didn't know what yet. After graduation, I got a job at a small car dealership on the edge of town. Not glamorous. Not fancy. But steady. The owner was a kind old man named Imran. He didn't talk much. But he saw how hard I worked. Taught me little things. How to read a customer's eyes. How to negotiate gently. How to listen before speaking. Every day, I watched him run the place. And every night I wrote notes. Not just about cars. But about business. Structure. Inventory. Relationships. While Adil hopped from idea to idea, I stayed. Quiet. Steady. Learning. I still lived at home back then. Mama said I should help Adil more. He was under pressure, she'd say. As if pressure was a reason to be cruel. But I helped anyway. Gave him loans he never returned. Picked up groceries when Mama was sick. Even helped pay Hina's school fees. I never asked for thanks. Just peace. And then, one summer evening, after 5 years of saving, I bought my first car. Not new. Not shiny. But mine. A silver SUV. Clean lines. Smooth drive. When I held the keys in my hand for the first time, I cried. Adil laughed. You bought that old thing? What a waste. You could have given that money to Mama. But Mama didn't say anything. Just looked away. I didn't argue. I never did. But that night, I took a drive. Windows down. Music low. It felt like breathing for the first time. That car wasn't just a car. It was everything I wasn't allowed to have. Freedom. Control. Pride. I kept it spotless. Parked it carefully. Locked it twice. That SUV became my safe space. My quiet escape. My reminder that I was more than just someone's sister. I was someone. Still, Adil never saw me as equal. Every time he failed at something, I was the backup plan. Cover this loan. Pick up that parcel. Can you handle this for me? He never asked. He expected. And Mama let him. She was tired, I think. Tired of holding a family together with cracked hands. Sometimes I wondered if she even remembered I was her daughter, too. But I kept going. Kept learning. At the dealership, Mr. Imran started hinting that he might retire soon. He said, "This place needs someone with patience. Someone who listens." I didn't say anything. But my heart beat a little faster. Could it be me? I started saving more. Researching loans. I found a small location a few towns over. An older dealership about to go under. It wasn't much. But it was enough. The owner wanted out. I wanted in. We started talking numbers quietly. He liked me. Said I reminded him of his daughter. He offered me a fair price if I could close in 2 months. It felt crazy. Too big. Too far. Too risky. But it also felt right. I didn't tell anyone. Not Mama. Not Hina. Not Adil. Especially not Adil. Because deep down I knew. If he found out, he'd find a way to ruin it. So I worked in silence. Built my dream with small, quiet bricks. No noise. No celebration. Just faith. And then one day, just weeks before the deal was supposed to close, he took my car. And everything I had been holding together, all the control, all the quiet, started to crack. But what Adil didn't know, what he would never see coming, was that he hadn't broken me. He just pushed me into becoming exactly who I was meant to be. It started again with a phone call. Not a warm one. Not even a, "How are you?" Just, "Sarah, do you know anything about crypto? I think someone scammed me." I felt that familiar tightness in my chest. The one that comes when Adil speaks like the world owes him something. Like I owe him something. No. Adil. I don't know anything about it, I said quietly. He sighed. Loud. Dramatic. Like I had disappointed him somehow. Again. That was Adil's pattern. He'd throw his money into something risky. Lose it. Panic. Then look around to see who could save him. Usually, it was me. He'd already lost money 3 times before. One time it was a gym he never opened. Another time it was an online store that never launched. And once he took my savings. Said he'd double it. That was 7 years ago. I never saw a single rupee back. I remember crying in the bathroom that night. Silently, with the tap running so no one would hear. But I had still helped. Because Mama said, "He's your brother." And when I told her I needed that money, she only whispered, "You live here for free, don't you?" That line never left me. You live here for free. Like I was some burden. A ghost floating in my own home. Even though I paid the bills when Adil couldn't. Even though I never asked for help. I wanted to scream. I've earned every breath I take in this house. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. That week, Adil started acting strange. Hovering near my room. Asking odd questions. How much did you buy your car for again? Still keeping the papers in your drawer? I didn't think much of it at the time. just shook my head and said, "Why?" He laughed. "Just curious. Relax. I should have known. I really should have known." That Friday, I left for a work seminar in another city. A 2-day event. Networking, sales training. Boring but necessary. I left early in the morning. Didn't even think about locking my drawer. Didn't think twice. I should have. Because when I came back Sunday night, my car was gone. At first, I thought maybe Adil had borrowed it. But the keys weren't on the hook. My drawer was open. The envelope with my car papers, gone. I froze. My bag dropped from my hand. I walked out into the driveway. Just stood there. Empty space. Dust. A single oil stain where the SUV had been parked. I couldn't feel my hands. Couldn't feel anything. I went inside. He was sitting on the couch, eating chips, watching a movie. I stood there, silent. He didn't look up. "Where's my car?" I finally asked. He didn't even flinch. "Oh, I sold it." Just like that. I sold it. My stomach flipped. "You, what?" He looked annoyed. "I needed the money. I'll give it back when things settle down." My voice cracked. "You used my documents. You took them from my drawer." He shrugged. "You live here rent-free. It's only fair." That sentence again. "You live here rent-free." Like I was a parasite. Not a sister. Not a person. Just convenient. My legs gave out. I sat on the floor. He didn't move to help. Just turned the volume up. Mama came into the room, wiping her hands on a kitchen towel. She looked at my face. At Adil. Then she said it. The same line she always used when things hurt too much. "Let it go, Sarah. Don't make a scene. He's your brother." And I broke. Not loudly. Not in tears. Just inside. Something inside me cracked and stayed that way. All those years of being small. All the, "just help him once more." All the times I watched him take and take while I gave and gave. Suddenly, it felt like I had been preparing for this moment. Because I had. Quietly. Carefully. In secret. For the past 6 months, I had been negotiating to buy a small dealership in a nearby city. It wasn't big. But it was clean. Profitable. Tidy. The owner was retiring. No heirs. He wanted someone honest to take over. He picked me. We had meetings at lunch breaks. Phone calls after hours. I got the loan approved. My credit was strong. The savings I had left were enough for the down payment. I didn't tell anyone. Not because I was hiding. But because I knew, deep down, no one would celebrate for me. I had the keys. The documents. The agreement was ready. All I had to do was sign. And now, thanks to Adil, I had the reason. Because he didn't just sell my car. He sold my last illusion. That maybe someday our family would be fair. That maybe if I was good enough, quiet enough, helpful enough, someone would protect me. But no one ever would. So I had to protect myself. Not with revenge. Not with screaming. With action. Real, strong, unstoppable action. I went to my room. Closed the door. Pulled out my folder of dealership papers. And I called the owner. "I'm ready to sign," I said. His voice was warm. "Congratulations, Sarah. You'll do great." I hung up. Sat there. Stared at my old bedroom walls. This wasn't my home anymore. Not emotionally. Not spiritually. And very soon. Not physically either. Because I was leaving. Not running. Rising. The next morning, I stood in the kitchen, watching the kettle boil. Steam curled into the air like the thoughts inside my head. Hot, quiet, and everywhere. I heard Adil's footsteps behind me. Heavy, careless. He came in, grabbed a banana from the counter. "Don't look so dramatic," he said. "It's just a car." I turned to him slowly. He grinned like he was doing me a favor. "I needed the money. You wouldn't understand. You've never taken real risks." I didn't say a word. I just stared at him. At the way he chewed. The way he didn't care. He leaned against the fridge. "You should be thanking me. That car was too flashy for someone like you." Something cracked in me. Not loudly. Not in anger. It was like glass, deep inside, finally splitting along the lines that had been weakening for years. I set the cup down gently. He waited for me to argue, to cry, to beg. I didn't. I just walked past him. And in that moment, I knew. I didn't live here anymore. That night, I packed quietly. 2 suitcases. Some files. A photo of Baba in a wooden frame. His smile was gentle, like always. I left my bed unmade, like a goodbye. Mama didn't come to the door. She probably thought I was being dramatic. That I'd be back. I didn't explain. There was nothing left to explain. I booked a small hotel room in the city where the dealership was located. Nothing fancy. A single bed, beige walls, the smell of cheap soap and old carpet. But it was mine. That evening, I signed the final paperwork. It was done. The dealership was mine. I stepped outside, holding the keys, and looked up at the dull orange sky. It didn't feel like freedom yet. It felt like standing on the edge of something, with no noise behind me for once. That night, I turned off my phone. The next morning, I changed my number. Blocked a deal. No messages came. Not from him. Not from Mama. Not even from Hina. They didn't notice I was gone. I didn't cry. I had cried enough over people who didn't see me. Instead, I went to work. The dealership was small but clean. The lot held 10 cars. A little office with cracked blinds, a dusty desk, and an old coffee machine that rattled when it ran. I cleaned every inch myself. Washed the windows. Scrubbed the floor. Set up my chair. Then I hung a sign outside. Fatima Motors. Named after Baba, Fatima was his mother's name. He once told me he wanted to start a business under that name, but never got the chance. Now, I gave him that chance. It wasn't revenge. It was remembering. And honoring. I hired a young man named Solomon, fresh out of college, eager and respectful. And a woman, Zoya, who had been rejected from 3 car sales jobs because women don't sell cars. She was brilliant. We started small. Word spread. Customers came. Slowly. Then more. I found a quiet apartment nearby. White curtains, a small balcony, and just enough sunlight in the morning. And I healed. Not all at once. But slowly. One morning, 2 months later, I was flipping through the resale inventory we got from a nearby auction lot. And I saw it. My car. My heart stopped. Same color. Same scratch near the mirror. Same dent on the back bumper from when I reversed into a potted plant years ago. I stared at it like I was seeing an old friend after a long war. I called the manager of the lot. Asked questions. Acted normal. They didn't recognize me. The car had passed through a few hands. No one knew the real story. They offered it for a fair price. I said, "I'll take it. In cash." Later that afternoon, it rolled into our lot. I didn't cry. I walked up to it. Opened the door. Sat behind the wheel. The seat still had the same smell. My smell. I closed my eyes. Just sat there. Not sad. Not angry. Just full. Like something lost had quietly returned, without a fight. I didn't call a deal. Didn't tell Mama. Didn't even tell Zoya or Solomon. I just had our team clean the car. Wax it. Polish the rims. Then I placed our new business sticker on the windshield. Fatima Motors. Driven by trust. And I parked it right in the front, where everyone could see it. My car. My story. It wasn't about getting even. It was about rising above. Every time I walked past it, I smiled. Not because I won, but because I didn't lose myself. I once thought revenge had to be loud. That it came with raised voices, doors slammed shut, people crying, and words you can't take back. But real revenge? It's quiet. It's peace. It's when the person who tried to break you has to sit with the truth that they couldn't. That's what I was building now. Day by day. At Fatima Motors, I became the woman I used to dream about while staring out my bedroom window, pretending the world would change on its own. I made the rules now. Simple ones. Respect. Honesty. No one gets walked over. Zoya was blooming. She'd started wearing bright lipstick and speaking with more confidence. Salmon brought in fresh ideas every week, always pushing for better service. Customers kept coming back. Not just for cars, but for how we treated them. People remember how you made them feel, I told Zoya once while we were closing the register. She nodded. They always mention you. That part still surprised me. They remembered me. My name, my care, the way I listened. That was never the case before. At home, I had been the background. The quiet one. The helper. The backup. Now I was the story. I didn't talk about a deal. I didn't talk to him either. But he tried. First, it was a message from a random number. Hope you're okay. Let's talk. Blocked. Then another. I made a mistake. We're still family. Blocked again. No guilt. No anger. Just a clear line. Sometimes late at night, I'd remember the time he borrowed my savings for his so-called import business. I had just started working. That money was supposed to go toward Boba's surgery bills. He never paid me back. Mama had told me, he's your brother. Help him. But help, I learned, isn't the same as sacrifice. I had sacrificed enough. Now, I was investing in myself. Weeks passed. Then, one cloudy Tuesday, he came. I was in the back, helping Salmon sort through some new paperwork. Zoya popped her head in. There's a guy outside, she whispered. Looks rough. Says he's here to speak to the owner. I stepped out. And there he was. A deal. His shirt was wrinkled. His hair thinner. He looked older than he should have at 40. Eyes darting. Shoulders slumped. And then, his eyes locked on the SUV. My car. His mouth dropped slightly. He walked toward it like he didn't believe it was real. What the? I stepped into view. Dressed in black slacks and a clean blazer. Hair tied up neatly. No makeup. Just calm. He froze. Sarah, he said, blinking. I didn't flinch. Yes, I said quietly. You're trespassing. He looked around. This is your place? I nodded once. He tried to smile. You're kidding. You. With a dealership. You always said I was just a backup plan, I said. My voice was soft. Even. Funny thing is, I became the plan. You just didn't see it. His face fell. He looked at the car again. How did you get it back? I bought it, I said. With my own money. Like everything else here. He opened his mouth, like he had more to say. But I had nothing else to give him. Adil took a step closer. Listen, I didn't know things were. I turned to one of the junior security guards near the entrance and said, please ask this man to leave the property. He isn't a customer. Adil flinched like he'd been slapped. You're really doing this? I looked at him, truly looked at him, for the first time in years, and I felt nothing. No hate. Just a quiet ache for the girl I had been, the one who still hoped her brother would change. She's gone, I whispered to myself. Security asked him again. He muttered something under his breath, gave one last look at the car, and walked away. I watched him go. No smile. No anger. Just peace. Later that evening, I sat in the office alone. The lights were low. The blinds open just enough to let the silver of streetlights shine through. I poured myself tea. Bobba's photo sat on the desk beside me. I lifted my cup slightly, like a silent toast. We did it, I whispered. I wasn't chasing approval anymore. I wasn't begging to be seen. I was standing. On my own. On something I built with bare hands and quiet nights. And that was enough. The first time I opened the second location, I didn't cry. I thought I would. I thought there'd be tears or clapping or a moment so big I wouldn't know what to do with it. But instead, there was just a soft breath. A slow, deep inhale like the kind you take at the top of a hill after a long, aching climb. That's what it felt like. Peace. Not the loud kind. The kind you carry inside your chest. The new dealership was smaller, tucked between a pharmacy and a bakery in a quieter part of the city. But it was mine. Fully mine. No partners. No silent doubts. And this time, I didn't do it alone. I hired women. Not because they were women, but because they were me. Ones who'd been passed over, talked down to, made to feel small. A single mother who used to clean offices but knew how to negotiate like a pro. A quiet girl fresh out of business school whose ideas came out in whispers, but always made sense. I gave them what I never had, trust. And they gave it back, tenfold. We built slowly, honestly. People noticed. Clients started requesting us by name. That's when I stopped calling myself lucky, and started calling myself ready. Mama started visiting again. Not with words. She never apologized. But one afternoon, I saw her through the glass door, standing in the lot, looking up at the dealership sign. She looked so small. So much older. I stepped outside. Need help? I asked. She didn't meet my eyes. Just nodded, holding out a small food container. Her hands shook a little. Made biryani, she said quietly. I took it. Thanks, I replied. That became our thing. Silent visits. Food exchanged. Sometimes she'd sit quietly in the back office with her tea, watching as I worked. I didn't let her move in. I didn't let the guilt take root again. But I let her in. Just enough. Boundaries, I learned, were not walls. They were fences with gates. And I held the key. I lived in a small apartment near the first dealership. Nothing fancy. 1 bedroom. Clean, warm, full of light. There was a plant on the windowsill. I talked to it sometimes. After years of noise, family chaos, expectations, guilt, I finally learned how to sit in silence. How to rest without feeling lazy. How to say no without apologizing. How to trust myself without needing approval. Some days I still doubted. That never fully goes away. But doubt no longer led my life. I did. One day, I got an email from a local business group. They were hosting a women's conference. They wanted me to speak. My first reaction? Panic. What would I even say? I'm not a speaker. I just work. But then I thought of all the times I'd sat in the shadows, watching men speak with fake confidence while women stayed silent with real wisdom. I owed it to that younger version of myself, the one who sat at the family dinner table and swallowed her ideas like hot stones. So I said yes. The day of the event, I stood behind the curtain, hands trembling slightly. The microphone felt heavier than I expected. When they called my name, my heels clicked too loudly on the wooden floor. I reached the stage. Looked out at a sea of faces. Mostly women. Some young. Some older. All waiting. I took a breath. My name is Sarah, I said, my voice small. Then I paused. And something settled. I used to believe that being quiet meant I wasn't enough, I continued. But I was wrong. Being quiet isn't weakness. Sometimes, it's preparation. I told them about the car. The betrayal. The dealership. I didn't mention my brother's name. Not once. This wasn't about revenge. It was about returning to yourself. At the end, I said something I hadn't even planned. You don't need anyone to give you permission. You are the permission. There was silence. Then claps. Then a standing ovation that made my throat tighten. But even more powerful than that applause? The woman who came up to me after, tears in her eyes. She didn't say much. Just held my hand and whispered. I needed to hear that. And I knew. This new life wasn't just mine. It was for every woman who was told to shrink, stay quiet, stay small. We're done shrinking. I don't ask about a deal anymore. But stories find their way to me, like wind slipping under a door you thought was closed. He bounces between jobs now, delivery work, a short stint at a car rental place, then nothing for months. Always the same pattern. Late. Loud. Blaming everyone but himself. He was talented, some say. He just made bad choices, others whisper. But the truth is simpler. He thought the world owed him something. And when it didn't, he turned bitter. He still tells people I betrayed him. That I took what was his. It used to sting. Now it just sounds small. The man who once said I was nothing without his name no longer has a name anyone remembers. People used to respect him. Now they just nod politely. Then look away. Hina, my younger sister, surprised me. One evening, she sent a voice note. Her voice was shaky. Careful. I'm sorry, API, she said. I was scared of him. But I always looked up to you. Always. I sat on the edge of my bed, holding my phone like it might vanish. She hadn't spoken to me in over a year. I listened to the message 3 times before I replied. We met a week later, at a small cafe. She looked older, somehow, like the years had pressed in on her too. But her eyes were soft. Honest. We talked. Cried a little. Laughed quietly. There were no big speeches. Just truth. Since then, we've been rebuilding. Slowly. Not every family needs to be broken to pieces. Sometimes it just needs time. And honesty. And distance from the ones who never learned to be kind. Mama moved in last spring. It wasn't because she asked. It was because I saw the signs. The way her hands trembled when she carried tea, how she forgot little things, how the light in her eyes dimmed during long silences. She didn't say she needed help. But I offered it anyway. She sleeps in the room by the window now. I decorated it with soft peach curtains, like the ones she used to love. She doesn't say much about the past. But sometimes, I catch her watching me. When I cook, when I work, when I smile. Her eyes follow me like she's trying to memorize something she missed. We don't talk about a deal. We don't need to. As for me, I live. That's my quiet form of justice. I drink tea slowly in the morning, without looking over my shoulder. I walk into my dealerships with confidence, not fear. I say no now without guilt. And I say yes to the things I once thought I didn't deserve. Peace, space, love. The people who tried to keep me small, they look so small now. Not because I look down on them, but because I've grown. And when you grow past someone, it's not revenge. It's freedom. The engine hums gently beneath me. I'm sitting in the driver's seat of my old car. Yes, the one Adil stole, sold, and forgot. It's fully restored now. Clean interior. New paint. Same soul. I let my hands rest on the steering wheel. Outside, the sun is setting over the dealership lot. The cars glow in the orange light like quiet soldiers, lined up and ready. I turn on the radio. An old song plays, something soft, from the days when I used to dream in secret. Before anyone knew my name. Before I even believed I had one worth saying. I close my eyes and let the music fill the space. A soft breeze comes through the open window, carrying the smell of fresh polish and jasmine from the planter by the office door. Somewhere, A car door clicks shut. Someone laughs in the distance. And I smile. Not because I won, but because I never stopped believing I could. That's the part people don't see. The nights I cried in the stairwell so no one would hear. The mornings I walked into rooms feeling invisible. The way my voice shook every time I tried to speak up. I remember every version of myself. The girl who lent money and never got it back. The woman who came home to an empty driveway. The sister who was always too soft. But I also remember the silence after I moved out. The first sale I made under my new business name. The sound of my heels clicking on the clean tiles of my own office. I glance at the mirror. My eyes are steady. And then, just loud enough to hear, just for me, I whisper, "Thank you for leaving me nothing." Because it taught me I could build everything. I start the car. And drive forward.